See if we have any friends. Mm-mm-mm. Welcome to Splintered Spirits. Hopefully we're going to get some bodies soon. But we are live. Hello on Insta. Welcome, welcome. We're going to wait a few minutes, get some people some time to come on in. On this wonderful Thursday, the 13th. Lorraine, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Slowly but surely, folks are trickling in for another live episode of Splintered Spirits. And you're wondering, where's John? And I'm wondering, where's John too? It's not like we don't go live every Thursday. While we wait for John to come in, we do have a fun guest today sitting in the waiting room. We're going to talk to her in a second. What's been happening? All right, guys. What's been happening on Splintered Spirits or in the Splintered Spirits universe? So we had a great episode about headstone cleaning this week. I hope everyone checked that one out. It was a brand new one. We had an incredibly fun interview yesterday with Lauren Hellickson. If you don't know her, just go to Lauren Haunts. She is an absolute joy. Real scientific approach. It's mainly for you ghost hunters out there. She even builds her own gear and sells it. But if you go to laurenhaunts.com, super fun interview with her. I ran another interview that we're coming up with an episode about near-death experiences, or in this case, a distressed near-death experience. Guy named Matthew Botsford. I've known him for a long time. He got shot in the head, flatlined, and went to hell, which is pretty amazing. His story is absolutely bananas. We've got a producer with Mark Marinaccio coming up, and I might drop that one on Tuesday, or it might be the week before Thanksgiving. Mark is he was a producer on the first season of Ghost Hunters, and he was an executive producer of Skinwalker Ranch season 3. Show ran that. Another sort of way into how people look at and how you produce this stuff, which is, for those out there, it's a fun one. Lorraine, yes, we are also on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We are on Insta. Hello, hello. Will John be joining us, guys? I don't know. He knows we're here. He's supposed to be here. This is the time, so hopefully he'll be jumping in soon. But I don't want to keep my guest waiting for too long. That's for sure. I think John had some sort of apartment issue or building issue that is holding him back. But that's what happens when you go live and you don't schedule your day. What else? Let's talk to the chat for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to tell you about our guests. Very fun. Robin, stop forgetting. Set your alarm. I'm glad you're here now. Catherine, timekeeper, Heather. IG isn't loading. Oh, I see you there. I don't know why it says I'm live. I see myself live. I don't understand Instagram Live, to be honest with you, but it's I know we're up and running, so I can see. I don't know, maybe one person's looking at it, but it's there. What can I tell you guys? All right, let me tell you about my guest today, because it's super fun. Super fun. She's the coolest. She's got like over 300,000 followers. She's a digital horror storyteller, creating content that redefines how horror is experienced online. Her two-sentence stories and stylized short skits blur the line between fear and fascination, inviting viewers into a world where every glance, gesture, and moment of stillness tells a darker story. With her unique mix of silent performance and occasional macabre humor, she has carved out her own corner of modern horror. Her name, she goes by Modern Morticia. I mean, she says it's horror, and it is kind of horror, but I find it funny. And maybe I'm twisted. Maybe I'm just twisted that way. But let's get her in here because I have so many questions for her. One moment, and here we go. Get her in here. Hey.
Hi, how are ya?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I was just listening to your intro. You are twisted.
I think so. I think so. Because I absolutely love your whole set, your whole style, your setup, and what you do. And I have so many questions for you. I'm sorry, John will jump in here when he can. He just hit me up saying he had some massive emergency and he's on his way. So, but we're
Cool
live in
deal.
time, and I'm not keeping you waiting. Fuck him. He can wait. That's for sure.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate ya.
No, thank you. Thank you for being with us today. It's great. Great fun. Let me just get myself set up here. Find my question. I think
Absolutely.
I did not come unprepared to. So, do you want to go by? Do you go by Morticia? Is that a good? Is
Morticia
that
is fine.
is that how you like it?
Yep.
All right. I want to know. You remind me of my generation. I think I'm probably a lot older than you of Elvira. You know, and is that what kind of an influence did that play into what you're going for?
So it's funny that you say that because how the Morticia of it all came to be, two of the references that I get that people are like, you remind me of are Morticia and Elvira. It's kind of both of those. And what I like about that is like, I guess the looks of it all kind of leaned into Morticia, I guess the Elvira, but some of the content that I make. I focus more on horror, but there is some head nod to like the dark humor. I joked about the twisted of it all, but I can see the humor and stuff like that as well. And Elvira, the mistress of the dark, if you will,
Yeah.
she did as well, you know? And
Oh, of
so I
course.
love whenever I can squeeze in some dark humor, that is very much in real life how if I need to handle things, if I can find a way to laugh at it, even in the bad, in the dark of it all,
Right.
that's me. But a lot of people, those are the two references I get. And so over the years, I think I started doing horror in 2022, 23. That like Morticia kind of came to be because of so many people. Like I just started in horror without any kind of like I didn't identify as it, but people were like, you remind me of this. And I'm like, that's funny you say that because a lot of their humor or their style I'm appreciative of, and I've kind of come to adapt that to myself.
Well, I love
So
it.
it's funny.
What's
Yeah,
what
it's
is
funny
that
you say
accent
that.
I'm hearing? What's that accent I'm hearing? Where are
So
you?
the accent, it's funny you mention that too, because I do a lot of what is I like to say it's silent horror, like the old
Sure.
films, if you will, right? So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
do a lot of talking. I just like to act out horror that already exists. And I'll kind of silently do that. So people are always like, whoa. I joke that I'm like, if I go and make content and I'm using my actual voice, I always like to be like, LOL, jump scare, here's my meat voice. And they're like, whoa, okay, did not think you sounded like that. But I'm originally from South Carolina and I ended up in Tennessee. So, and that was all because I was actually prior military, fun fact. And I thought I would like travel and see the world. And it took me on a tour of the Southeast. So I guess that is part of the world. So whatever accent I have is really just this
You were in the
Southern
military.
hybrid. I was a medic.
No shit.
So
That's
yeah,
wild. Uh, and so wait, what are you in like Nashville?
I am about an hour above there. I'm near
Okay.
Fort Campbell, which is like
Okay,
10 minutes
gotcha.
away from the border of Kentucky.
Are you
Yeah.
still in the military?
No,
Okay.
no. I just, by the time I got out, I was just like, well, here we are.
All right,
So
right on.
I just kind of stayed here to see something new and experience something new. So
Got it. I'm a big Nashville fan. I'm a a tourist of the highest order and going there. And I made
I
a
was gonna say
record.
Nashville is a fun like because Nashville is like a touristy type, like
For
that's where
sure.
you go. If you're gonna go to Tennessee, you're gonna experience
Yeah,
Nashville. But when you live here long enough, Nashville then becomes like another town, and it's like
I bet.
it loses
Oh,
the
I bet it's
appeal
it's
if you live here.
I know I have friends who live there, and I visit them too, and it's you know they humor me when I come out to go do all the touristy stuff and hit
I,
Broadway and all that shit.
Good
And it's
friends, good friend. I will say
yeah,
Broadway of it all. It's like
yeah.
if you live here long enough, Broadway loses its allure, if you will. Now it's like, well, the main VA is down in Nashville, so I guess I'm going to
Well, listen,
Nashville.
I found
So it becomes
I
that.
b- Nashville's like the bachelorette party capital of the world, and it's it's funny, and I got to say this, and I mean, well, when you look around and see some of those bachelorettes, it shows you that love still exists because there is an ass for every saddle, and they are
If
finding
you
love, and you're kind of amazed. They're like, wow, okay,
There's
if she
that
can do it,
joke.
anybody could do it.
That part, yeah. No, you'll go down there on any weekend, and it's always the bridal parties that are like they've got the cowboy boots. No, respectfully, right? Hell yeah, like celebrate your milestone. But they are going to have the boots, the cowboy hats, the sashes, and they're going to be like, "Woo!"
It's
That's
great.
that's the vibe, and I'm like, hell yeah,
Not for you.
sis.
Yeah, you walking in like Elvira or Morticia is going to change the whole scene for sure.
Yeah.
So, one thing you do, and it is truly genius, especially considering you're, a social media creator, is this idea of the ultra short horror stories, these 2 sentence horror stories. So, how, how did you come to that? What was the spark that led to that?
So TikTok itself is kind of where I started, right? And I was trying to like, do the content creation of it all, whatever. What's funny is like I'm not the face of Two Sentence Horror by any means. I'm not the only one that does it. There's a lot of really awesome creators out there who are doing the same storytelling aspect of me, like kind of what I do. But what I loved is I watched creators do it wasn't even the two sentence horror of it all. It was like how they filmed what was a mini movie, like the aspects, like the angles, the media. And I was like, that looks really fun to try to do media wise. So when I started that, I was like, I really just wanted to challenge myself for the media of it all. Because like social media is not new to me, but that was definitely kind of out of my domain, if you will. And again, this was like 2022, 2023. I was like, let me see if I can nail what I have in my head. I'm like, I'm inspired by other people. Let me see if I can do that. And I did it. And that was one of the first videos that I had made that really took off. And I was like, oh, y'all like this? Because I had fun doing it. So let's see where it goes. And little by little, people were just like, oh, this is cool because it really is like a bite-sized movie. If you don't have the attention span to sit down for like an hour and a half, 2 hours now, because now movies, if some horror movies, you got to invest in the time. The little bite-sized
But
chunk
that's what's
of
genius
bringing,
about it. That's what's genius
yeah.
about it. Oh, John's here. I'm going to bring John in real quick.
Hi,
Hey, what's up?
how are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to talk to you in this format instead of
Yes,
hopping on each other's whatever. Now here we are all gathered in the same room.
that's it. That's it. Very cool. What's going on?
We were just talking about Morticia's her 2 line horror, which is sort of how not only the books that she's and the books are uh you've pulled those right from other people and you've written some, or it's sort of
So
a
what I did with that, so again, the two sentence horror kind of accidentally came to be because I was like, this is really fun because two sentence horror has I've known about two sentence horror since I was like young, right? And I love the aspect of it because you can take two sentences, give me the who, what, where, when, why, the plot, and then twist it in the second sentence and mess me up real quick, and then that's it. Like it's like a 5 second experience of horror, and I didn't have to watch a movie, I didn't have to read a book. Like I'm like, that's brilliant. Like it's just almost like short form poetry of some
yeah,
kind where I'm like,
for
you
sure.
really made an impact. So what I did, and the whole reason the books became to be, is I think I have a total, every time I do a playlist that ends up being, oh, like it's 100 stories that I've reenacted. Now, these stories you can find all over the internet. And again, they've existed for a long time. They're all over the place, and I dig for them. But with my books, and I got them right behind me, and I'll show you a little bit of like what I mean. These are the collection of the stories. So I'm not the author by any means, but I've acted them out. And when I created the books, I wanted to celebrate who was making these stories. I went and I have to do research sometimes to find who's made these stories because it's not always obvious. So I've tried to do the research to celebrate the author, but the book itself is not only, I call it a compilation. Like I don't lay claim to
Sure.
any of that. But it's a compilation that coincides with the specific playlists that, so not only because just like people learn differently, like whether you're auditory, visual, whatever, you can experience horror in so many ways. So if you're watching my original content, it is like me acting out these stories that somebody else has created. So I also took them and made them into a compilation that can be physically held and perceived, like verbiage wise, if you will. And it follows along with the playlist. But what I did with the books, um, let me trash my
Try not to tear the
setup
whole
real quick.
place apart.
I will trash this whole place real quick. But yeah, so the visuals and stuff that I have in the books, I illustrated them kind of the same as if I would act them out.
Okay.
So I brought them to life in a physical copy that you can appreciate too. And again, all the stories, because some of them don't have all, some of them are old stories. Like again, they've been around for a while, and sometimes you can't decide who exactly holds ownership to the story. But if I can find them, they have gotten credit. And there's a whole preface that gives a head nod to the creators or any space that I found them on. I've given a head nod to them, and I'm like, here you go. Here's everything. And then here's the illustration. And then if you want to follow along versus what book you have, there's a playlist that coincides with
Got
the
it.
lineup of what's in the book. So if you want to visually see it and then you want to follow along,
Well, it's
I
certainly more
set it
fun to
up
watch you act
like
them
that.
out for sure.
Right. I
I mean,
appreciate
that's
Which,
that, but I
you
understand that
know,
some people like books.
yeah,
yeah.
which I have to say this. When you're scrolling TikTok and you come across her content, it is some of the most unique content that you can find on that platform.
Yeah.
Hands down. You're not
Yeah.
going to find other content like hers. It is so unique. It is so well done. It's awesome.
It's really good.
And I
It's
appreciate you.
and your the way you do it, the silent form of it. Sometimes it's funny. It's if you did it like black and white too, it would be just as good. You have a
You
look
know
and
what's
a
funny? You mentioned
style.
that because I have some stuff in the works of, especially because again, when you think of silent horror, like the original films, um, like there's some really OG horror films that they didn't have the technology we did, and we still appreciate those films, but they're
Right.
black and white, they're silent, they have the in-between narration, if you will, the text on
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So there's things on my think board, if you will. I even think of one of my favorite shows in the way of like weird twisted horror that matches the vibe, like Twilight Zone, stuff like that, where it's like, it's a little, some of it can be outdated. However, like some of those are on my think board of like, wouldn't it be cool if I'm already doing silent horror to be able to like do that,
Yeah.
and
It's
bring
it's
that to
awesome.
life.
What's your what is your how did you get into horror? Like, what's your motivation? Was it? Did you grow up with it? Did you find it later?
I
What
I
does something?
did
Who are
grow
the
up with it.
filmmakers? What movies, filmmakers, books? What inspires you?
So what's funny is like growing up, I don't know if I should have been watching the movies I watched as young as I was, but um, my mom was into horror. She was into the psychological thrillers, like, and she would work. and then get off work. She's going to watch what she wants to watch. And that was the norm. I was just like, all right, cool. Like mom's watching a movie, mom's watching a show. And so I would get plugged into it and it would be all the classics. Like, I remember like the Bates Motel. I remember like all that stuff like growing up. And so it was just a norm for me. Like horror has always been a norm and it's always been especially like I, like there's some horror that I'm like, if it's just gore, okay, I like a plot, I like a twist, I like a psychological thriller. So when you get like that's what like impresses me with twisted horror because it takes some people a whole movie to really get to the point, and you just did it you did it in a short format. I'm like,
Right.
okay, hello. Um,
So what are
so
some
I
of the
grew
movies?
up.
What are some of those movies and books that stick with you that were like, oh my God, that is life changing for me. That was my
So I
movie.
will say, again, the classics are the classics. I'm a big fan of you can't go wrong with the classics. And again, when I was younger, those are staples that I grew up with. When I got older, like for example, good twists that I like. This is also an example of how movies can do too much, and some of them, there's some movies that can continue. There's some movies you just got to let them be. And I think of like The Grudge, The Ring, like movies like that, where I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, it's creepy. There's a little bit uncomfortable. There might be some gore, but it's got a good story. My absolute favorite, an example of a movie that did continue and it hasn't made me mad yet, right? We'll see. It's coming out with another movie, but the Saw series was a good balance of like, if you're into gore, it's got that. But if you're
That's like
into,
right, that's like torture porn. Saw. There's like
it's giving
there
that.
there was a
But if
whole
Torture
you,
porn.
no, it is, dude. That's what it's called. There's like a whole there's a bunch of movies like that.
you're
There was
not
the
wrong.
Hostel series.
Yeah,
Like
yep.
it's all
I
torture
forgot about
porn stuff.
Hostel. I forgot
Uh,
about Hostel. That was
yeah,
another one.
didn't
Like
didn't
again,
that all started with what was that film when they're on the island with the tribe and they're all getting tortured? It came out maybe in the 80s and it was like a big like oh my it was a big like taboo. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It has cannibal in it, definitely Cannibal Island or
yeah.
something cannibal. It's
Jesus
just
Christ.
yeah.
Now see
That's
the
that whole
Grudge. I've talked to John about the Grudge constantly. That is a movie. That might be I think I could say this honestly. That might be the last horror movie I saw in the theaters. And when I walked out of it, I was exhausted. I was so tired. I was just like, come on, man. And then I tell John constantly, what do I say? John, we're the scariest ghosts.
the scariest ghosts to Gary are old ladies, right? Old
Yes,
women,
yes.
children.
And especially what kind of children? Chinese children, Asian
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Because of the grudge. They are
Because of the grudge.
terrifying in that movie.
Again, yeah, it's just
Terrifying.
like because people will argue whether that's good or not, but again, just the combination of little things to it, and then that sound that I'm like,
Yes.
bye, I'm like,
I
hello.
was
But
exhausted.
what I liked,
I felt like I ran a marathon watching that movie.
yeah, movies like that, it's like the plot, like gore doesn't do it. Like again, I think of Chainsaw Massacre, where it's like okay, it's scary to be chased by a chainsaw, but like I need the psychological thriller of it all, and then just psychological thrillers. I love the twist, but sometimes it doesn't have enough. Again, I think Saw is coming out with like a hit or
Yeah.
miss. I've seen it back and forth with an 11th movie, and they've done a pretty good job of like when they continue, they'll like head nod to old movies, and the
Was
plot's
it
still
Chris Rock in
continuing.
one of those?
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Was it Chris Rock in a Saw
Um,
movie?
that was it 10 or yeah, that one was wild and that
Wow.
was like a weird they introduced that as like it was almost like retroactive into an earlier part of Saw. So they keep trying to keep the lore alive, and it's kept me interested enough where I'm like, yeah, again, they introduced him, and I was like, where'd he come from? So I'm invested in the lore of it all and the game aspect because I haven't seen a lot of movies do the same plot of those like do you want to play a game, and I'm like
Yeah, right.
hello, like that's an interesting, it's not just hunted and being hunted, and I'm like okay, so
See,
now
I'm
I'm
sold.
like if you're going to continue it, I want closure.
I hear do you want to play a game and I think war games.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? Like
whichever one, yeah.
let's play a game, right? Wasn't it? Whopper. Uh
I
did
don't
you
know.
see
Someone
the
says, "Let's play a game." My mind automatically goes to Monopoly.
does yeah.
It's
I'm
just
not
the way
playing
it
that.
is.
I'm not playing
You
that game.
know.
That's
Morticia,
worse
Smoking
than
did you
Saw.
options.
I'd
watch?
rather
Did
be in
you?
a Saw trap.
Yeah.
Did you see The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix? Did you catch that
That
one?
one I did. Yep.
I tell
It's been a
John all
while,
the
but
time,
yes.
it's got the greatest jump scare in history. I can't tell anybody what it is because I don't want to ruin it. It is like in one episode, it just comes out of nowhere, and it was I leapt across there, and that move, the bent neck lady, the whole thing about it is totally terrifying. It's one of the
I
best.
like jump scares I'm hitter, but because it takes a lot to scare me, you really got to be good on the plot. But I remember one of the movies I saw, I forgot what scene it was, but like The Omen, and this is like an
Oh
old.
yeah, man.
Right. There was a scene that just caught us off guard, and who I went with, I watched them jump in their chair, not because it was necessarily scary, but we just weren't expecting it. And they reacted way more than me, and I was just like, LOL of it all. So like I love those moments too, that really just unsettle you in some capacity, whether it's a jump scare, whether it's like I love the movies that they end on the psychological thriller, and I'm like, I have to go to bed and think about this. Like I have to process this. Give me a second. Like I love
Well,
movies like that.
you've really sort of you've made this you've made something out of this genre that feels very, what would you say makes it feel unique to you, right? Horror is obviously a very saturated place, but
Yes.
you've really taken advantage of the medium you're in with this short form artwork and it's truly artwork that you're making with this stuff. what what do you try to, how do you define your niche and maintain it?
So I mentioned earlier, like two sentence horror, I didn't make that. And then short form horror, I didn't make that. Like I didn't create that. But we mentioned earlier where people always are like, oh my God, you remind me of like the character of it all between Morticia and Elvira. Like, and they, again, there's been many Morticias and Elvira, hello, so I think of like the comedy aspect of Elvira, and I think of the aesthetic of Morticia. And so there's plenty of people that will reenact or do short form horror. But I incorporate it in a way where if I can do, because again, I'm not saying anything, it's not verbal, but if I can give the visual cues or expression of emotion towards like the comedy of it all or give a head nod to that, if there's a dark humor, I absolutely will take advantage of that. And
Got it.
so between who I am as who I've become as, I guess, the character of it all on top of the horror, I think I'm appreciated in a way, because again, if you like two sentence horror, you can find anyone to do that. But I try to embody how I view who I see myself as, who I want to be, right? But who I see the character that's playing those roles as. So
Sure.
that's kind of how I came to be, because if
What
you
what do
look
you
at
hope the audience is, what do you hope the audience is walking away with? Is it more of the scare or the humor or the lesson in the story? What do you hope they're walking away
so
with? Or do you care?
I
It's just like as long as they
really
enjoy it.
I was about to say, I really like that question, because what I also do that's unique too, because again, I'm a full-time content creator, so I'm making content, but I'm consuming it too. So I know what's trending, what's happening out in the world, what's big on TikTok. What I also have taken on doing, because even the horror creators that I'm mutuals with or I've been inspired with, or they do other things too, but they also like horror. Um, I have been a big fan because, like, yeah, I want you to be creeped out in short, like, form. Like, how I want you to be uncomfortable. I'm here to make you uncomfortable. But I
Sure.
also have like being able to see like things that maybe I feel like need attention. And if I can turn them into a two sentence horror and express that in a way, it brings attention to, like, I don't want to say issues. It's not like a big, because I'm not like overly like political or, I'm not going to get on a platform and like, yap, 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 listen to me. Who am I? I'm
Hmm.
here to entertain. I'm a creator in that way. But if there are things that I can turn into, because I think of like recently, I don't know if you've heard of the lady calling the churches asking if they'll give formula, right? That's like a recent kind of trending thing on TikTok that became big, I turned that into a 2 sentence horror, not because it needs to be, but because that is the platform I've created, that if things need attention or it can be brought to light, or if like I feel like that creator's doing something really awesome and you need to maybe pay them attention, I'm not going to be the voice of it. But if I can create a horror story, because that's what I do, and bring light to other things people are talking about, I've created a platform for you to be knowledgeable and go see, I'm doing what I do best, whether I, whatever my opinion is of it or not, but I'm like, how can I turn this into a horror story? And
Right.
so some of the
Everything with
horror
the church is
stories,
a horror story.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's why I left it, like I'm like, this is real life horror story. Hello,
Yeah.
we could act this out, no problem.
Some
So
real
I
darkness
did
there.
that to bring light to what they're doing. I'm like, hey, go look at this creator that's doing this, but I turn it into a horror story. My audience might not have known about like real things going on, but if I turn it to a horror story, they're going to go in the comments and be like, what is she talking about? It engages discussion, and people are like forming their own opinion, because I never, not giving an opinion, that's for you to form, right? But I've acted out this trending thing on like TikTok or social media that everyone's aware of. And if you're not aware of it, now you're going to be aware of it. So I've done that more in recent months. With like different scenarios that, again, like the TikTok of it all, you'll see like the wildest things go viral, and I'm like, can I turn that to a horror story? How do I make this fun? So
Sure.
then they can take away something else.
Do you set boundaries for yourself in terms of like, what your schedule's like? I have to make, or it is your full-time
Yeah.
job here now. So is it, all right, I've got to make 6 movies a week or 3 a week, and then this is the budget I've got for this, and then does that help with your creative process in terms of like by setting those
Oh,
rules and like, okay, what can I do, and I'm blocking that? What's the process like for you to make short films really every
a little bit.
constantly?
I used to be able to like do it. I used to do it daily. And it's funny because like back when I did it daily, it was more for like, I was building and it was for my entertainment. And I used to bartend. So I actually had an employee job. I stepped down from that in January, and I was like, okay, let's get serious about this. So, when it comes to that, it's kind of, what I like about it is, for anybody, maybe probably the ADHD of it all or whatever, I really am just like, what do I feel like doing this day, whatever. So for the most part, I do still try to make daily content, but I also do other things like I do tarot readings. I do tattooing. I'm like in the process of that. I'm doing everything that will prevent me from having to ever work in an office, and I will fight for my life. I will die on that hill. Like if I don't care what trade I have to learn. Like if I can make it my own and make something else out of it, like I'm going
How
to
long
do
you been
that.
doing tarot readings?
Tarot, I got into 2017, and I actually got hired onto what I think what would be considered a modern day psychic hotline, if you will. We don't really do that anymore, but like there's apps for that now. So I actually am, I work with a company, and I do that too. So I do a lot of my day. So the content that I make is not necessarily always every single day, but that's because there's a lot more to the behind the scenes of what I do, and I have a lot of interest. So I try to maintain it for the fact that people like to consume it. They like to see the horror, they like all of that. Also nice about not just doing horror and being like, who I am as Morticia, I can create like what I want with who I am. And so I've tried to make myself more of the brand than just like the stories of it all, because anybody can do 2 sentence horror if you really want to try and act something out,
Sure.
like absolutely.
Well,
But
but here's the thing, right? Anybody can do anything. I mean,
right,
everyone's got access to a camera. That doesn't make you Spielberg, right? So it's just a matter of
uh,
it's
that
not
part.
it's what you do with it that makes it interesting. Let's talk about tarot for a second. Do you buy into it? I mean, you're doing it, so there must be something spiritual connect that you have. What would you
What
say you're a
I
spiritual person?
so I'll say like yes, loose. And when I say that, it's more like spirituality to me is like how you define it. It's same way with like I'm not religious, but people who are religious, they found some connection in that. They interpret it in a way that means something to them. It brings value to their life. It brings cool. Like, who am I to naysay that? My beliefs and how I see things, they might naysay that, but like, whatever. Um, the way that I read tarot and the way that I learned to do it is it's not so much like, ooh, this is going to happen. I'm going to predict your future. It's more because I actually have a Bachelor of Science in Lifestyles Coaching. So a lot of what I do with tarot is almost like, I call it like a soul mirror, if you will, an introspective tool where I'm not going to pull anything that you don't already know about yourself. I'm going to use it as a tool to call you out. And there's been a lot of people that will come to me for tarot readings and they're just like, oh, I don't know. We just pull about whatever. And then I pull stuff and I start like saying the cards and they're like, okay. And then they rat on themselves. Like, I'm not sitting here claiming to be like, I don't know anything about you. Like, I really don't. But I'm like, this is what the card's saying. Does that make sense to you? And then all of a sudden their mom's having an affair. They're doing that. Like, they come out like the woodwork with it. And I'm like, okay. Now I mentioned my degree because I just pulled some cards and I had you just tell on yourself. I now can help you. Like, let's sit here and talk about this because I didn't tell you your mama was having an affair. You told me that. You're obviously feeling some kind of way and you reflect, you bounce that off the cards. Now, if we need to talk about it, let's talk about it. And that's how I use that as a tool. It's more, I see it the way I do it. It's more a therapeutic tool, if you will, because you're not going to just come up. Some people will, they'll spill the tea. And I love that. Some people won't just be as upfront. They're like, no, life is good. It's fine. And I'm like, well, what is this? And they're like,
I was about
Like
to
you're
well,
using them as
suggest.
a
yeah,
spiritual Rorschach,
yeah,
you
Right,
know?
you
right.
know,
I was
so
about to
that's
suggest
how
I
I
get a
used it.
tarot. I was about to suggest I've never had a tarot card reading done, and I was like, maybe I should get it done, but I'm not going to get that shit done if I'm going to start confessing, and I don't want anybody. I got secrets.
You're
I
like,
can keep them secrets.
I'm not gonna ask you to do it.
I'm going to keep
You're not gonna
those.
spill my beans.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
keeping
no.
those secrets. Uh, have you ever had? Have you ever had sort of a paranormal experience? Have you ever? Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in spirits?
So I okay, I'm one of those people where like I believe because there's just so much, like there's so many experiences, there's so many people with story, like it's so much to not think there's something. But me personally, I don't recall I'm open to it, mind you, and I don't think I'm done living yet.
It's
I got
okay,
more
man. We're not going to
time.
hang up on you if you say no.
You said, and we're done,
Yeah,
and we're done. No, no. My honest answer, like I'm like, hello, like hello. I'm still very open to it, and I'm so appreciative and like. I love listening about it. I love hearing other people's experience. I'm more jealous because I'm like, hello. I'm like, you welcome in, welcome Matt, come on, But I don't think I've had anything that I can maybe pin, but I am still, that's not to say I don't believe and that I naysay it. It's more, it hasn't happened yet. And I expect it to happen. If I got to go stir up some trouble, if I got to go,
well,
like,
shit, man.
hello.
Don't wish for it to happen. Who wishes ghosts to happen? John, maybe. I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't wish for it to happen. I don't need it
I
to happen.
touch his lives. I'm like, hello,
You got
hello.
that. That's not for
I'm like,
everybody.
what microphone do I need? What machine do I want to talk to him too? Hello, acknowledge me.
So funny. Morticia, is it now? Let me ask you this: you have kids, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is this you 24/7? Are you rolling up to the carpool or PTA? As Morticia, because I think that's wild and awesome, and
What's
I'd love
nice,
to know
my
what the
kids are
Nashville crowd thinks of
homeschooled.
it.
I homeschool my kids.
Oh, okay.
So we live all of us, a very virtual life in some capacities. So now if I were going to pull up to a carpool and do the drop off, hello, I'm their mom. Like, this is who I am. And this is not me showing up to the pot. This is how I dress. This is who I am this is who I've become.
Sure.
But they're homeschool. So sometimes it is funny because I will have like teacher parent conference type things virtually. And sometimes they're like, like I had one teacher, they're like, oh my God, like we had to, I forgot what they had to take a picture for, but I was in the picture with my son that he had to pose, and I hear the teacher like, look how pretty his mom is, look at her, and I'm like, that's the closest I'm gonna get to the carpool line, I think, but like,
Right.
hell yeah, like
Is
game
it Halloween
recognition.
all the time at home? I mean, essentially, I mean, is
Oh
that like the vibe? What do the neighbors
yeah,
think, I
because
guess?
if you go around, like my apartment is just really, it's like an oddity shop. There's like dead things. We have like the front of a pirate ship hanging out of our hallway. We have no less than three full-bodied skeletons. There's like katanas, pirate ships. It's a mesh of like me and my partner, like he's more pirates and I'm more who I am, so it's intermingled nicely. Because again, we have like the pirate of it all, like that kind of, and then we have like dead things and weird paintings. And so, the whole house is just, that's the vibe.
That's amazing. I mean, that is fun. Now,
Yeah.
do the neighbors appreciate it, or do you have like I don't know what like rural Nashville's like. That's why I ask, or not
Yeah.
rural Nashville, no rural Tennessee. I mean, what is it?
What's funny, so we really went all out, because the only holiday we really totally care about in this house is Halloween. So when Halloween was coming up, we went on the patio. There's spider webs, there's spiders, there's what is there? There's a hanging pumpkin guy, there's ghosts hanging down, and but here's the thing: is past Halloween, they're still up. They weren't ready for that. They weren't ready for the long term of it all, because at first they were complimenting it. They were like, "That looks awesome. We love your Halloween decorations." And now that's past Halloween, no one says that anymore. I'm like, what if this is just decor? Like, you don't like it now? That's crazy. Our neighbors started decorating for Christmas, and I saw spiders out there. You know, I,
You should put Santa hats on them. I'm a spider.
I literally said that. I was like, we're not taking it. We'll give the ghost, we'll give the pumpkin man, we'll give everything out there can have a Santa hat. I worked really hard putting that up. I'm not necessarily rushing to take it down, you know? So
I find that the most like just an interesting thing. Right? I don't know what that town is like. Is it a very religious town? I mean, is it very Christian? And
where we are, because we are in again, I mentioned Fort Campbell, we're in Clarksville. It is not, because it's when you get into a town that is more military, it is a wild array of people and problems and nonsense. So I live in a very interesting
is it
town,
because it's more
because it's just,
transient? Is that why? Because it's from all
yeah,
over?
because you have people come and go, but then it's such a big town. Like we're not one of the, because we're the tri-state area, we're not one of the main three, but we are a big town, and there's such a variety of different people and interactions. And again, like when you talk about military, it's not the military involved, it's you're getting people from all around everywhere who are, they just happen to be military. So you're getting different driving habits, you're getting different culture habits, so you're putting all these people with all these different things in the same town, and it's always like either something going on or like I've not lived, again, I'm from a small town in South Carolina, so moving here felt like the city to me. It's not much of a city, but the stuff that happens here, I'm just like,
But you don't feel out of
okay.
place. You don't ever feel out of place in this town. Did you ever
No,
have you
honestly,
ever lived anywhere where you
moving
felt out
into
of place?
this, I don't want to say it feels out of place. It's more like I came from a town that if we wanted to go to the grocery store, it was no less than like 20 to 30 minutes to get there. Now, if I want to get anywhere in town, I just have to drive 5 minutes and I'm on the main strip of the town. So for me, I was just kind of like, it was almost a spoiled aspect where I was like, oh my God, I have access to resources right there. Like I live 2 minutes away from like our town hospital. Like everything is right there. I used to like my ex-husband and I, when we first like moved here, I used to say, I'm going into town. And he's like, you're in town. And I'm like, oh, I had to get used to that because
Right.
like I literally lived in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, oh, you're right. You're right. So
Right. Oh, but it's, in my look, John and I are, we're New Yorkers, so it's like we just assume everyone's clutching their pearls as you walk by.
You know what? You're not wrong because yeah, from where I grew up in like a literal Bible Belt, and so for me to
Yeah.
become who I am today was really just being like, I hate this. Like I had to live it to realize like it was not for me. And then I traveled like I travel a lot more now than I did in the military, ironically. So like I just went to Germany this past year. That was the first time leaving the country. And so like and now I'm finally experiencing like other people doing other things. And it's always interesting to see who I've become, regardless of where I'm from, how they interact with me or how they perceive me. Or you know, going out sometimes, especially locally, I guess the way my content is pushed out. Like even when I used to work at the bar, I'd have people come into my bar and they're like, I love your TikToks. And I'm like, oh, hey, you know, like, what's up? You know, so
Yeah.
it's like interesting how people perceive me, or I've been told before, because I have a big personality, which is nice that I don't do necessarily the voice acting of it all because I don't know how to be serious ever at any point. I can express that emotionally, but if I can make something funny, I'm gonna do that. That's my first instinct, you know. But people perceive me and see me, and I don't know if I give off that just dark aura or whatever, but like
Right.
some people are just like, you're intimidating. And I'm like, I just like to look how I look, I guess. I'm like, if you
Right.
actually talk to me for like 10 minutes, you're like, ah, she's cool. Like, she's fine, you know, like, whatever.
Do you go to the? Have you? Do you go to like the horror cons, or do they ask you to go there now? Or are you? Is that a work? Is that what's next for you? Maybe to start
I was
trying to
gonna say I
build
have a
that.
lot of stuff. That's why I'm grateful for y'all inviting me on your podcast because it's like, especially this last year, there's been a lot of like little milestones of like people I've worked with or people I've connected with or stuff like. So I'm very like you know nail clicks for y'all. Very appreciative. But for example, what was cool to me, I haven't so no to that, not yet. And again, I have way more stuff I'd love to do and get to do. But what I was tickled by, we went to, speaking of Nashville, we went there for what do they call it? Their horror, like they have it's like a significant horror house, if you will, but it's mini horror. It's like
Whorehouse.
yeah, yeah, I went there. Horror, that's the southern
Oh,
of it all.
Horror
We add the
house.
extra
She didn't
R.
say whorehouse.
horror
She said horror
house.
house.
Horror, horror,
Horror
Horror. I
the
heard
house.
you. I
horror
heard you.
house.
A
Yeah, I heard
Don't
horror
mind
horror.
house.
my
He's
accent.
like, sign me up.
Don't,
I was like, yeah,
like
man. I
we're
didn't know.
going too, actually. We'll meet
That's
you
it.
there.
Our our,
Uh,
our viewership
um,
just spiked when I said whorehouse. It just
but
jumped
Yep,
up.
yep, yep, yep,
but
yep.
they're haunted Nashville or whatever. It's like a bunch of mini haunted houses in one. It's a really cool setup, and we try to go there every year. Usually like twice a year they have different events for Valentine's or whatever. This year we went for Halloween, and we would get up to the front of the line, and people would be like, "I know you," and I'm like, and they're like, you're. I'm like, TikTok, is that where they're like, yes, and they're just like crashing out, and I'm like, that I was so tickled. I was just like, I'm here on your turf, like you're cool to me because you're running this. I'm like, hello, you know.
That's super
But I
fun.
had like, yeah, I had somebody like take a selfie with me, and then I had somebody else shake my hand because they were like tickled about what I do horror wise, and I'm like, I'm not here like yeah I'm on your turf, you know. I'm like, I'm impressed that you're dressed up. Hello, I'm just looking like me, you know. But like that stuff is cool. So the little bits of like stuff like that that's happened over the years as I've developed has been cool, and I'm excited to see where that takes me in the future, as I continue to like decide on new content or new horror, new ways to create in the genre or the niche, if you will, that I've chosen. So
All right, and then now look, she puts books, she writes books, makes skits, tattoos, makeup, homeschools her kids, ex-military, and you're a gamer. How did that happen?
so
And
what's
when did
funny
you
is
start diving into that?
the gaming of it all, because here's the thing, being like a short like bite-sized horror content creator, I love going live. I'm a yapper. I love to talk. I love like this kind of set. I love like, yeah, ask me something, I'll talk about it for an hour, I don't care. But like for me, I had to think, I'm like, how does one go live and do what I do, because that's the shortest live known to man, like 2 sentence horror, and we'll wrap it up, you know, like I'm
Right.
done before anyone logs on, you know. So what I got into, I usually do a lot of Fortnite as basic as that is, mostly because my fiance travels, and they wanted to know like how do we play games from a distance. So we started doing Fortnite, and then I wanted to do a platform where I could hang out and like interact with people that follow me and whatever. But again, I'm like, I could sit up here and like on live with my flashlight looking like the Blair Witch Project and like tell horror stories. I could do that,
Yeah.
but also like, do I want to do that? So it's nice, especially since I think I mentioned this earlier. If I do content where I do talk, which is not often, but sometimes if I'm like talking about like a book, or if I'm talking about so whatever, I always like LOL. I'm like, hey, I'm using my meat voice, by the way, jump scare. This is me. It's a nice way for them to get to know me and who I am as a person outside of horror. And some people, because I never talk and I don't do that, they don't know and they're curious, like the parasocial of it all, I guess, if you will. They're like, well, what are you about? Who are you? You're just acting as like, who are you as a person? So I can go live on Fortnite and just BS and like what, and it gives a chance to interact with people. And that's also a cool way to meet people in the gaming community.
Yeah, and
of
I
it
never
all.
see, and you never pull, at least as far as I can tell, it's not like you pull videos from those lives. It is a very separate
Yeah,
thing. It's
because
just like, this
I'm
is
not
just me
gonna
hanging
I'm not
out.
gonna be like, oh my God, look at my clips of this random whatever. That is really the live of itself. That's just an in the moment thing, and I try to keep it like that because some people follow me for the horror. So if I'm playing video games on live, they might be into it. Some people are like, I didn't know you streamed, and I'm like, hey, and they're like, I love you even more now. And then I have times where people are like, I didn't ask for this, and that's fair too. So
Sure.
that's why, like, if I'm going to use the same platform for that, it gives me an excuse to go live and interact, and it's just a common ground of Fortnite. And what I like too is like followers can play with me. Like I'm not opposed to like play, and I'm getting to know
Yeah,
people. I'm interacting. I'm like, hey, this is who I am as a person
that's
outside
funny.
of horror. I'm still
Is that your
showing up
only
as
game?
myself.
Is that your favorite
Do
game? Is
what?
that your only game?
There's a few others. Sometimes I've done horror games. Like my youngest, he loves jump scare. Like my kids, what I like about them, they're
What's
into
that
horror
game?
too.
What's it called? Like the Phantasma Gore? What is that one that's out?
Yeah,
That's one of them.
that's one of
He
them. Yeah.
he got me into, I'm about to say I've heard of that one, but he got me into Escape the Backrooms. And you end up in the middle of nowhere and you have to try to escape these buildings and whatever, but there's like these jump scary, I don't even know what they are. They're alienish. I don't know, monsters. I just played it because I'm a good mom, and if they want to
Right.
play I've even played Roblox. I hate it here, but I'll play it with them. I'm trying to bond with my children, I guess, and I'm like, I
Listen,
hate
man,
this.
I
Can we
play
play Fortnite?
Helldivers 2. I am a Helldiver. I play
I'm
Helldivers
like,
2 constantly. It's how I unwind at the end of the night.
yeah, so we played Escape the Backrooms. I tried to stream that one time, and when I tell you there was one, I was running from a monster. I got in a corner, thought I was good, turned around, and the monster was there, and I destroyed my entire my ring light, the camera, it was gone. I was just like, wow, it, like all so like I have played other games like that, but at least with Fortnite. Like games like that, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to destroy my entire setup with a jump scare. But those games are fun too. So I do occasionally, I'll do the horror game. I'll try to switch it up a little bit, but I like the idea of like, again, Fortnite's common, but I'll play that just to give like just the interaction of the followers of it all, and it's unrelated. It's common ground because if I get on talking about horror, they might appreciate it, they might like it, but they might not have much to contribute in that way, So it's like it still becomes one-sided, so I like to just do that for funsies. At some point, I'll probably move it off of like the same platform I do horror, but with the live capabilities of it all, I'm like, why not?
Sure.
Let's do something. Let's take up, I uploaded a TikTok, go watch it, do the horror, and then come play Fortnite with me. Okay. And let's get to know each other. So that's kind of how I keep things like the variety of it all, interacting with me, making it about more so about me if you're interested in that aspect of it all. If not, you don't have to watch my live. You can watch the horror because that's all I'm doing on there, So
I love it. I love it. Um,
I
first of all,
recently,
thank
I
you. Go
recently
ahead.
downloaded the anniversary edition of Fallout. So I've been playing Fallout 4 while going through my replays,
I like
which is
Fallout.
yeah,
I like
which is
shooting
fun.
games, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
Well, yeah,
I
you
Well,
can't
cannot
play
listen,
games. You can't play live games, John, because you got to pause it.
Well,
That's the
Fallout
problem.
4 isn't. Yeah. Fallout 4 isn't a live game, so I'm able to pause it. My favorite game that I can't pause, unfortunately, unless I'm playing by myself, is Nazi zombies, because there's
Oh,
nothing better
so
than killing
good.
Nazis except for killing Nazi zombies.
I
You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
That's
That's a
fair.
good
Kill
motto.
them after they're already dead. Kill
You
them
gotta kill them
again.
twice. They
Kill
should
them
let you kill them
again.
twice.
They get to get killed twice.
I love it.
No, that was if I do that, like that is the zombie aspect of it. That's probably my favorite genre of, like if I'm gonna watch, speaking of horror movies, when we're like zombies, I'm a big fan of zombies. Some people
So,
like
what do you think of
vampires,
zombie
some people
movies? Going back into the movie talk. What do you think of zombie movies?
uh
You think like it's
zo-
so saturated, but do you think there's some that just stand out and are?
I was gonna say like Dawn of the Dead is a good one. I've seen like Day of the Dead. I've like my mom was. I mentioned she was the one that kind of turned me on to horror before I ever would have probably found it on my own. And she kind of like if there was a zombie movie that was going to be out and happening, that became her. Like some people like Alien, some people like vampires, some people, everyone's got their thing they're into. If you show me a good zombie movie, I love a good like survival. I tried to watch like The Walking Dead. I lost interest at season 382 or whatever it's on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
It
jumped the
got
shark when Glenn got hit in the head with a baseball bat. Negan.
Yeah, or what messed me up was when they killed Herschel, and I'm like,
yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
keep
Oh,
watching
that was
this,
great.
and then
Well, that's the problem with that show. When they killed Glenn, the backlash was so severe,
Yeah.
and instead of them ignoring it, they listened to it. And what they should have done the next couple episodes is kill another major character, and that show would still be going on as popular as it was back then. You know?
It was
Have
just
you
I
like you
guys
couldn't
ever
you
yeah,
seen?
couldn't you could
Listen,
not top that. It was so
yeah.
aggressively
that's a
violent and
significant
Oh,
heartbreaking.
it's
one,
great.
and that's probably
That's
about
when
the time
Negan
that I
was
was like, I'm
Negan. You know?
tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm like, you can't
Yeah.
keep doing this to me. I'm tired. I'm going through all this
You got
trauma,
now.
and I'm not
Listen,
getting no resolution.
my favorite zombie movies right now are I believe it's the Korean zombie movies like Train to Busan. And there's like a whole series revolving around those. And if you haven't seen them, just look up Train to Busan. I think there's like 3 or 4 movies. They're wild. They're
I'll
wild.
have
They're
to
like
look them
some.
up.
It's a good fresh take on zombies, and there's a little bit of that psycho thriller because I mean you're on a train,
Yeah.
you're on
Oh
a
yeah.
train, and it's like wait a minute, what's gonna happen next? It's good. It's real
That
good. And it's
reminds
not.
me of when I got obsessed. Like I went down because I think The Grudge and The Ring came out around the same time.
Yeah, it was all
And
that
I think
era.
it was like,
That's about right.
yeah, The
90.
Ring specifically had different versions of it. And I can't remember all the ones I watched, but it was a lot of like, generally speaking, like Asian versions of
Yes.
like,
Yep.
yeah, that Blockbuster was still a thing in our town then, and I would go and I would hunt them down and I would watch them with the captions on, but I'm like, give me all of it. I'm like, I'm intrigued. What's your variation of this? It was so interesting to see their different takes and their different variations of that. So like when it comes to zombies or games or stuff like that, that has like, if I love the plot of it and you twist it in a way and I'm sign me up. I'm like, I'll figure it
You
out.
would
Hell
be
yeah.
surprised with the amount of stuff that's in Hollywood now that is actually recycled from like foreign films.
Yeah,
Even
that's what
down
I
even down to
figured.
the kid shows, like the Power Rangers, for example. That show made so much money in production because everything was already filmed except for the off scenes when they weren't in costume. Yeah, it's insane, but a lot of things are like that. Like same thing, like The Ring, and a lot. It's cool once you
Yeah,
dive
because
into it and start like
the
realizing, like,
version,
wait a minute,
yeah, the version we
yeah,
got was like not the original. So then I started being
not
like,
the
wait,
original. Yeah,
where did this come from? Because I love
yeah.
this. So give me the whole lore of it. And I would go down a rabbit hole and watch. I watched so many versions of like, I think it was like The Ring or the one, either one, The Ring or The Grudge. I watched so many versions of that to dive into whatever the origin was. I experienced so many plots and so many versions. Like there was some versions, like there was a virus involved. They just had
Mhm.
different twists on it. And I'm like, this is so neat. I'm like, me,
Yeah,
uncultured swine. Mind you, I was like just out of high school, but I was like, oh my gosh, let me dive down and figure out what this is all about. Where did it come from? Hell yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's real cool.
Morticia, what's next for you? What do we want the good people to know? First of all, thank you so much for your time today. I really
Of
appreciate it. It's so
course. Thank
fun
you
to
so
chat
much
with
for
you.
having
And
me.
it's fun to talk to
No,
somebody who's like, that's just a little bit, paranormal related, but not necessarily in the world of ghosts and spirits.
I
But
was thinking that earlier, and I was talking to people who I was telling I was going to do this. I was like, I'm really excited because like we're all within like the umbrella of what could be horror. I'm like, but I don't necessarily do what
no, we
they
play in the same
at most
sandbox.
I act it out. At most, I've seen the stories and I will tell the stories and I love them
Right.
and I'm a big fan. But I can appreciate like again when I'm hopping on lives of y'all or seeing what y'all do, I'm like, yes, I'm like, give me that, give me the horror that I'm not making. Like, let me consume that, you know.
The horror
You
that
know what?
John and Gary are making there. It's
Yes, I was
this
like, all this
horror of a
horror over here, give me
podcast.
this. Yes, this horrible. I was like, give me. I love horror. I tell you what, you know. No, next. I don't know. I'm open. I'm just again, it all started me creating because I enjoyed it and I liked what I made. And then I created a community that also likes what I do. So I've been feeding off that a lot and it's helped guide me to where I want to go next. And I don't have it all mapped out, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And when opportunities arise or something new or something inspires me, again, I have some things like in my blueprints, if you will, of like creating different, like kind of not branching too far out of two sentence horror, but like maybe doing other short form horror that isn't just necessarily restricted to two sentence. Figuring out other things to
Expanding
portray,
to
or
3
again,
sentences, perhaps?
yeah, I might add on another sentence. I might get wild. It
Well,
might be
Don't
that's
three.
get
the thing. Your average, I can guarantee your average consumer of your content doesn't even know what two sentence horror is.
They
You
just
know
like
what I
what
mean?
it
Like
is. They don't realize they
they
just read
just
two
like what it
sentences.
is. So technically, you could branch off and you could do so much.
yeah.
You
And
know
that's what I'm
what?
thinking
You might
about
have.
doing, especially
Yeah, I
like
would if I
on
was you.
platforms like TikTok, the way like, you know, the social media of it all. TikTok, they like to pay people for like a minute long uh versions of whatever you're making, and you're asking me to take two sentences and stretch them out to 60 seconds. Have I done it before? Yes. Is it challenging? Yeah, it requires a lot of the acting to fill in. But that's where I'm like, platforms like that, maybe I can embody something more or figure out where I want to go next. So what I love is like, you know, I kind of have a blank canvas. I've started to color, but there's still more to color. And so who knows where that takes me? Like if something inspires me, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to try something else. That's what's nice about like like where I'm at is
Well,
like
you're a
I
real
get
art.
the,
I think you're a real artist. I really do.
yeah,
I honestly think
I get the
I see
option to create, you know?
from tattooing, the books, the stories, the filmmaking, the makeup, everything is you really are like a real artist, and it's really fun to watch. Uh, for everybody that is watching, you'll see we have a link to Modern Morticia in the link tree in our bio. You can connect with her. You should follow her. She's on TikTok. That's probably your biggest platform, yeah? Right now?
That one's the biggest.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's
you
where I
find her.
started, and I'm
Yeah.
working on pushing everything else out everywhere else,
As
but
you should. You
TikTok's been
got
the
it.
baby, you know.
Yeah.
Are you
So,
on? Are you on Facebook?
I am on Facebook.
yep. Her link,
Have you,
all the links to her you can find on our link tree that'll take you to everywhere that she is, even the
if
links to
you're
buy
like
her
me,
books. Yeah.
if you're like me, you took a huge hit after the blackout with TikTok and monetization. Your videos don't pay like they used to, right?
And we are
Um,
not the only creators saying that because I've seen so
no, we're not.
many creators. So that's why,
Yeah,
like
so
Facebook,
many.
I'm trying to branch out now because, like, TikTok's
Facebook's
where
your
I
best bet
started.
right now.
I've heard
Yeah.
that. And trust me, I'm
Yes.
like thinking that where
They
I'm
took
like,
over. They took over what TikTok was doing.
can you believe
That's
we
exactly what
all
they
left
did.
Facebook to go find bigger things and we're heading back to Facebook? No,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I've already had the last few days. I'm like, I cannot believe y'all gonna drag me back to Facebook. But you know what? You're not wrong, and I've seen so many creators talking about that. So I'm
Yeah,
trying.
yeah.
I'm
It's
working on that now.
yeah. It was all because all the advertisers left with the blackout. That 3 days is all it's still, and they still haven't recovered.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for their live platform, going live,
That's
You know,
also
they
why we
would,
talked about that
yeah,
earlier. Me going live, I'm like, I might as well get what I can get out of it because sometimes, especially my content used to be more consistent number wise, but you can tell because it's so just here or here. Like it's so
yeah,
inconsistent. It's
yeah,
hard to
yeah.
read it. It's hard to read how
No.
things are going to go, you know?
Yeah, you never know. You never know. You just put it out there, and and so and what's wild too is like your audience,
Yeah.
right? You know when you make something, when it's done, that final product, you go, this is great. They're gonna love this, and then you put it out there, and
And they don't
it
see
nothing
it, so they
happens.
can't love it, you know?
Exactly, exactly, and it's like, wait a minute, like it's very weird. It definitely
Uh,
changed. Yeah, yeah, crazy, so crazy.
I'm glad to hear you say
So,
that because I've been experiencing
so
that too. So.
yeah. When you stream, you only stream on TikTok when you're live?
Right now, I'm
Okay.
trying to do the thing where it's like, hey, I do stream. Hello, this is me. And then if I can eventually branch it out, I'm gonna try to carry people with me. But the idea of starting somewhere brand new instead of just working with where I'm at and then being like, hey, let's move over here. So where I'm at in the process of like streaming, again, I'm just like gaming
It's
and being
very
casual with
hard.
it.
It's very hard to
Right.
get
So
people
I'm
to
like,
switch
let me do what I'm
platforms.
doing with the platform I have so y'all know that I do this. And then if you're into it and you're here, let's move it over here eventually. So that's where I'm at in my process of that, if
There,
you will.
there's
So
things you can do where you can be there at all at the same time. You know what I mean? And sort of
Yeah.
build.
yeah,
You almost have to build it by itself because people
right.
are not. They just won't. A very small few will say, okay, I'm going to
Your
switch over
best
from
bet,
TikTok to YouTube. You
yeah,
just got to
your best
build
Right.
bet is
YouTube.
to stream on the platform and start fresh and build new,
Yeah.
and keep it, and if they want
Right.
it, you can let them know, hey, I'm over here too, and if they want to jump across, they can. But it's very weird, and
I
me
mean,
and Gary have talked about it
Yeah.
too. It's
listen,
just people are
I
so
was
stuck on what
listen.
they like.
I was a TV producer, right? So I worked in, I was a development executive for 25 years, and it was when it all started, before people before there was a creator economy that was really understood. We would always try to build a show around a YouTuber, right? Wow, this guy's got 10 million followers, and you try to make a show with them, and it would bomb, and no one watched it. You couldn't get their audience, didn't care that they now were on TV. Why am I going to go to TV? I watch them right here. They would not go, and it is a very hard jump, and very few people can do
Because you,
it to go
you
from
really are
one
trying to take
and forget it.
people
And that's
out
just
of their comfort
that's a
zone.
TV.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Say that again. Say that again. Sorry.
I say, like, if people are comfortable on TikTok, and again,
Yeah.
you get the people that scroll religiously, and I'm like, hey, come over here. It's like, hey, I like you, but this isn't my platform, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I get that entirely. So that's why I'm like, well, since we're all here, if you like it or not, we're here, we're in the same room, if you will. So that's why, like, I was like, let me just build here, and then eventually, if we need to move somewhere else, cool. But, this is more, I'm in the process of introducing myself as what I'm doing.
If look, don't take advice from me, but from John, you should when it comes to social media because he is building it. I mean, he went literally on Instagram recently from what was it, 2,000 followers to 200,000 in probably 36 hours.
Hell
That's not
yeah.
a joke. That's not a joke.
No, that's
When
awesome. I
the
love to
moment he
hear
started
that.
to focus on it, but it's a
Good.
simultaneous focus, right? So it's like it's not I'm gonna move here and do it. He's doing it all at once. Like right now, I'm streaming on 3 different platforms.
Yeah.
You have to try
The
to build each
multi-stream it
one.
all. You're not wrong. I tell you what, the only reason I'm not doing that is because, like, technology wise, I have I've gotten to a point where I can functionally stream. Like, look, I got this microphone, I got these headphones, I got this camera. I figured that part out. We still have more to learn and figure out.
Listen,
So
I
I'm going
have
to get
faith
there
in
at some point.
all this thing. Let me tell you this:
Use your children.
use your
Use your
children.
children.
They're
They are
so
probably
smart.
they're so probably technologically
I
savvy.
know.
It's not even funny.
My
Yeah.
kids don't know how to use
I had to use
OBS.
my
I
kids
don't.
for Twitch. you know,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
they set all that up for me because I'm
Especially,
going to
they
start.
just got me sick the last week. The least they could do is help me set up my
Uh,
stream.
I have no
jerk bags.
doubt
They're
that you'll
such
figure this
jerk
out, and
bags.
then you'll create your corner of each of these platforms without a question. You are, like I said, I think you're a true artist. You got a really great niche. You're very fun to watch. You're stunning. You're smart. I think it's going to be fun to keep watching what you do next. And we
And your
really
Oh,
content's
appreciate.
thanks.
unique.
Yeah, it's super
It's
Thank
so
unique.
you.
unique.
I
It's
can
so
say the
you.
same
It's
about
so
you.
unique.
I love
Well,
it.
thank you. Yeah,
Well,
it's
thank you
great.
so much. Thank you
It's
so much
yeah,
for being with us today. I really appreciate you.
Of course, thank you for
yeah.
having
Thank you.
me.
This is great.
So keep your browser window open. We're going to say goodbye to you now until it says
I was
upload
going to say, I
complete.
was like, I read the email. How do I do it correctly? Just leave the
Just leave it
browser
open.
open?
It'll say
All right.
upload complete when it's done. But thank you
I
so
see it.
much, Morticia. I
Okay.
appreciate
Yeah,
you.
Thank you so much.
thank
Y'all
you.
have a good night. Thank you for having me.
Of
You
course.
too.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye. How do I? This is the awkward time of all video
This is
conferences where you
where
say goodbye and
I'm
you're
just gonna
looking for the
start
button.
dancing. You know,
I'll talk to you
start
later.
shadow dancing.
She was super fun, man. Really
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Really
It's
interesting.
cool.
It's such a.
I'm
It's
sorry,
kind of.
everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the beginning of it. I was dealing with this nightmare of the Breck estate.
That's all right. You didn't miss
Insane.
much.
Yeah, yeah, insane. Well, I
Apparently,
actually, it was funny. I heard, you guys were talking about her military background, and I heard, a couple of things because I had it going. Well, I'm literally saying, dude, I had one phone. I'm posting videos in one hand with one phone. I have the live going up against an old paint can, right? And I'm literally eating a slice of fucking pizza, looking at the guy working on the boiler, and I'm going, man, why the fuck do I have to stand here while you do this?
right.
Why? Like, what are you gonna steal in here? What are you gonna take in here that they don't want you left alone? The dust, the spirits, the asbestos. What? Like, what are you gonna take that I can't? Leave? It's hilarious. But hey, listen.
But you didn't miss much, and she's great. I mean, she's super fun. It's good to have. I love having a guest like that, and she really does do a lot of different things that are
Yeah.
all really interesting. And
Yeah.
I hope it's. I mean, she is succeeding, and I hope she continues to succeed at it.
I would definitely follow her, and
Yeah.
I want to point out real quick. Where is it? Jared Balloon. Appreciate you during this podcast. You sending out 5 memberships to the Splintered Spirit
Wow. Thank you
Society.
guys. Yes, I didn't
Really
see that.
appreciate that. We weren't able to shout you out during it, but now I'm doing it.
John,
Thank
thank
you
you for
so
doing
much.
that.
That is so awesome. Yep.
Yes, I'm not
And
looking at the
also,
chat, so I appreciate you guys very much. And I hear what you're saying. Apparently, John, the ads were going
I saw it.
bananas.
I saw it.
So I got
But
to figure
the
that
ads are.
out.
How often are they running? Are
There's
they
someone
running
saying
like?
like every 5 to 7 minutes, which is nuts.
Well, that's
For
an issue. That's an issue.
so
But there
I'll
will be ads from time to time. But we'll get that fixed. But we will have
yeah.
ads from time to time.
But 5 to
It's
10,
just
every
the
5
nature of the
minutes is
beast.
not something that I set.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
will
yeah.
the next live. I'll figure
That's
out
a
how to
live
stop that.
setting. That's a live
Is it?
setting. We could,
All
yeah,
right,
we could take, we could take care of that.
we'll figure that out.
You,
For
yeah,
sure. So thank you for the heads up on that. I had no idea.
no.
But anyway, man, that was a good one. That was fun.
Jared, appreciate that. He subscribed as well. Thank you, Jared. You're awesome.
Jared, thank you. So I said, John, we've got a couple good episodes coming up. We're playing with the schedule. So we might have Mark Marinaccio on Tuesday. Brand new
Okay.
episode. The executive producer from Ghost Hunters. Executive producer,
Yep.
not executive producer from Ghost Hunters, a producer on Ghost Hunters, original season. And then he was the executive producer, showrunner for Skinwalker Ranch, which is really
Skinwalker Ranch,
fascinating
yep.
stuff. For those into that sort of angle of this paranormal trip we're on,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how
yeah.
it produces.
Yeah, what a great interview that was. He was just
Mark's a believer too. He's a
very
hardcore believer.
informative.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's very informative, very just like to the point.
Yeah.
You guys are really gonna enjoy it.
And it's unlike Mike Dorsey, who we interviewed, who's comes at it the paranormal from a documentary place. Mark comes at it from like a believer and a fan base, right? They're both excellent showrunners, but two very different perspectives. Mark loves it. I was telling them about our interview with Lauren Hellickson, which was hilarious, and that's gonna be a great drop. And then I just did an interview yesterday with a near-death guy who had a near-death experience. He went to hell, literally shot in the head, flatlined, and had changed his life. So that's going to be a great one. And what I'm hoping happens is we are supposed to do an interview with Rosie Grant. We're doing that, which will hopefully we'll drop that right before Thanksgiving. Rosie Grant wrote the book To Die For. John, she might be the only woman who loves headstones as much as you do, because she wrote a book for a cookbook based on people who put their favorite recipes engraved on their tombstone.
On their headstones, which I've never come across.
I find that wild.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
I've come across headstones where it's like, the name, like it'll be someone's first name, like Dan,
Yeah.
and then underneath the man. And we're going back to the
funny.
1800s. Like
Right.
somebody literally didn't put their last name on the headstone. Literally, his name was Dan, and all it says is Dan the man.
Right.
But never a recipe. So that's going to be very interesting.
She's super cool. Again, look, when you're talking about spirit communication, what better way to talk to the dead or have them still talk to you than through your stomach, I guess.
Yeah.
But she
especially a guy like me,
She discovered this whole thing, and then she realized that other people do it, and she traveled, I think, around the country. I got to find out about it. And then she put a book together with all these recipes, and then she does things where she goes to the families and like talks about Aunt so-and-so or grandma's this, and they make it together. I mean, it's absolutely genius.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
Such a genius idea. It's a best-selling book. She's doing the circuit. Like, she was just on Kelly Clarkson, and now she's coming down to Splintered Spirits. But God love her for doing it for us. I mean, she gets
Wait, Kelly Clarkson, the singer?
Yeah, she did the talk show. She promoted that.
See, I didn't even know she had a talk show. I had no idea
Dude,
she had
like
a
one
talk
of the
show.
biggest talk shows out there, dude. Yeah, she's Kelly Clarkson.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow. That was the American Idol. She was one of the American Idol winners back in the day, right?
Yeah. She was
the first American Idol.
And then she has a talk show that's a huge hit.
Wow. Huh. Cool.
But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Everyone on Insta, Facebook, YouTube, we appreciate you.
Yeah. Again,
tuned.
special big shout out to Jared. Appreciate you for that. Thank you for that support.
Thank you, man. That is so great. So great. Thank you for all the fans. And yeah, keep your eyes open. All new stuff as we roll out of 2025 here and move into 2026. But it's going to be good.
Sweet.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
I'll see you, everybody.
Guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.